Good morning and welcome to Breakthrough Walls. I'm Ken Walls and I'm your host. And today I am super excited. I have the one and only Colonel Rob Maness on the show. This guy is, well, he says he's not a hero, but he's a hero in my book. So I'm just gonna call him a hero. He's really an incredible guy. If you don't watch his show or listen to his show, we're going to be talking about that because it's absolutely spectacular. So do me a favor, if you would, and share this out with everybody that you know. Let's get 100,000 people on here watching live and stay with us. We'll be right back with the one and only Colonel Rob Maness. You know, I started thinking last night, how do I introduce this guy? I mean, he was at the Pentagon on 9/11. I mean, he's just done so many amazing things. And then I found this little intro video that his team did and I stole it. So I'm gonna share this little intro video of him because it gives a really good rundown of who Colonel Maness is. So check this out. It's pretty cool. And then we're going to bring Colonel Maness on.
Colonel Rob Maness has a lifelong record of providing dedicated service to this nation. Having worked his way up from the enlisted ranks to full colonel, he served our country for more than 32 years. He has served as a bomber squadron commander, bomb disposal technician, Joint Chiefs of Staff operations officer, assisted the national security team with the campaign plan for the global war on terrorism. He authored the first theater nuclear war plan and served as the vice commander of America's largest airborne intelligence wing. Colonel Rob Maness is a true American hero. This is Rob Maness Live.
Well, no, it's not. It's actually Breakthrough Walls, but we have Colonel Rob Maness live with us. Let's bring him on right now. Colonel, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ken, thank you very much. My mother loves that intro video, I tell you.
I'm with her. I love it too. You're so humble, though. You're like, I don't really like that intro video. I love it. It's awesome.
I just don't talk about myself in heroic terms, and most people in the military professionals are uncomfortable with that, and we should be. Humility is one of the traits that we value very highly. In the service, it causes us problems outside of the military, especially if you do something like get into politics, because you have to learn how to do it.
Right.
But
you know, one thing, I've never met a cocky Air Force pilot ever.
Well, that's totally different than being a hero, though. I am the best B-1 backseater that's ever walked the face of the earth. You know that, right?
I love that. I love that. I've heard a joke about, like, how do you know when an Air Force pilot's the best or something?
Yeah.
They'll tell you.
Oh yeah, but it's the backseaters you got to watch out for.
Oh,
You know who the greatest ace in the Vietnam War is?
I do not.
A lot of people would say things like Robin Olds, who's one of my heroes. His book, I had all of my officers read his book, Fighter Pilot. My kids have read his book. People might say some other names, but it's really a guy named, you're going to love this name, Chuck de Bellevue. Chuck de Bellevue. He was a backseater in an F4, got more kills than his pilot did, and more kills than any other pilot in the Air Force, and he was a weapons systems officer like me. So there you have it. You got to watch out for those guys with navigator wings on.
Hey, I told you that's what my brother-in-law did. He wanted to be front seat, and I think it had something to do with vision. I don't remember what it was, but
Yeah.
he ended up being a backseater in the F4. So,
Yeah, my hands and feet are like rocks at the end of my appendages. That's what's wrong with me. But I have great eyesight, though, and I learned that skill pretty well to the point where I could command the Ninth Bomb Squadron. And the Ninth Bomb Squadron historically is the oldest bomber squadron in the United States Air Force. And believe me,
wow.
and I was the first navigator to command it as a B-1 backseater. So
Wow.
I don't normally talk about that, but it does prove what I said. I'm the best B-1 weapon systems officer to walk the face of the earth.
That's so awesome. So, I do like to kind of, let the audience know where, I mean, you've got a pretty thick New York accent. Um, I'm kidding. No, where did it all start for you? Where were you born and raised?
You're not going to believe this, but I was born in Tacoma, Washington, at
Really?
McChord Air Force Base. It's called, I think it's called something like Joint Base Fort Lewis McChord now.
Yeah.
The hospital is the Army hospital that's still named Madigan General Hospital. My dad was stationed in Washington State twice. So I have three brothers. My two older brothers were both born in Spokane. I was born in Tacoma, and they moved back
Wow.
to the South, where my mom and dad are from West Tennessee, and he was stationed in Columbus, Mississippi twice. And on the second time, my little brother was born in Columbus, Mississippi, and I live in Gulfport, Mississippi now. And we traveled all
Which
over the
is
world.
That's a very nice place to live, by the way.
It's
For
absolutely
for
stunning.
for anybody that's never been there. Don't
Uh,
make fun of Mississippi until you've
uh,
been to
I
Gulfport.
have a beach lot that the lot lines run into the water, and I'm always posting pictures of my front yard, which is the Gulf of America.
Wow, that's so awesome, man. So awesome. So, in between living in Gulfport and being born in Spokane, Washington, which by the way, I've driven past that air for or that army base many, many, many times. I used to live
Mhm.
out there. I lived there for about a year or so. I was in Spokane a lot. But you did a lot of stuff. I mean, you have done a lot of stuff. So, growing up, it sounds like you were raised in a military family.
Yeah, raised in a military family and a Southern family, and I think that's important. I've got a book about to come out. It's titled "What You Can Do About It." It answers the question to any issue when you're thinking about it. The first question you go is, well, what can I personally do about it? Why do we ask that question as Americans? British people don't ask that question. Europeans, Germans don't ask that question, but Americans do because we see the individual as the preeminent sovereign over everything, right under God, and that
Yeah.
gives us our rights. So the reason why the Southern thing is important is I come from the same place where a guy named David Crockett comes from. And I talk about this in my book because when I was a little boy, my dad would make sure he was in the Air Force, but he would make sure he drove us home twice a year, once at Christmas and once in the summertime for 2 weeks at a time. And his little brother, my Uncle Buddy, would take me around when I was a little boy and take me under his wing. They didn't have kids, him and his wife, my Aunt Phyllis. But one of the places that he took me once, and I distinctly remembered it because Davy Crockett's Disney, I think it was a Disney series or something, King of the Wild Frontier was on at the time. And my uncle took me to the courthouse steps where they're from and said, Robbie, that's what they call me when I was a kid growing up. And my mother still calls me that. I do allow my wife Candy to call me that, but nobody else is allowed to do
Right.
that. But he said, Robbie, I just want you to know that right here is where Colonel Crockett told his constituents after they voted him out of Congress the second time that y'all can all go to hell. I'm going to Texas, and the rest is history. And
Wow.
and that's important to note because of the characteristics and the trait that you can expand on out from that statement at those courthouse steps. Those are the kinds of people that raised me. My dad
Wow.
has 11 brothers and sisters. My mom has 12. They're all from that part of the world. Our military service on my dad's side goes all the way back to the American Revolution in Western North Carolina, a little town called
Wow.
Robbins, North Carolina, where William Maness Jr. is buried, who was a private in the Continental Army. And we were spread all, migration and everything out to the west Tennessee was created. Actually, it was part of North Carolina originally. That's how we came to be where we're at there in Madison County, Tennessee. Now, most of my family.
So, did you know, did you know your whole life that you were going to be in the military, or did you ever rebel against that idea as a kid?
Uh, the short answer to that question is I don't know if my whole life, but one of my earliest memories is my dad giving me a full size GI Joe uh, when I had to go into a hospital when I was 4 to get a hernia operation
Mm,
fixed, have a hernia fixed as a little toddler.
yeah.
Uh, so maybe my first, I knew I wanted to fly from the time I was about 5 or 6. When I was 5 or 6, my dad was working in what's called black programs, the SR-71, the U-2 programs, back in the
Oh,
day
wow.
when they were really being operated by a non-military organization with 3 letters. They had this private display of aircraft, and I remember him distinctly. The cockpit of an SR-71 was the first cockpit I ever touched because he held me up there to look inside of it. The canopy was open at this private display for families of folks that work these missions. Uh, and from that point on, I knew I wanted to fly faster than the speed of sound, and I knew I wanted to fly uh, uh, aircraft that contributed something to the country.
Wow. So, okay, so I've actually experienced being on the ground and witnessing the barrier being broken. It's really something to experience. But did you get to fly faster than the speed of sound?
Yes, several times, multiple times.
Yeah.
The largest aircraft that I flew faster than the speed of sound in is the B-1 bomber, the Bone, as we call it. Those of us
Wow.
that fly it, and that's a 400,000 pound class aircraft, so a DC-10 for you civilians out there that want to compare it to something. And
For anyone.
Getting
Oh,
that much
you.
weight going that fast is pretty incredible.
I didn't know that it would break the sound barrier.
Yeah, its speed limit is 1.2 Mach.
Is it
So the
really?
original B1, the B1A, was much faster. But when President Reagan resurrected it from the Jimmy Carter cut, we added about 45,000 pounds to it and made it a low altitude penetrating bomber to get in through Soviet missile defense systems, low altitude, and put about 40,000 pounds ish worth of new equipment on it that enabled it
Wow.
to do.
Wow.
It's pretty
So,
incredible, though. It's just got a system. It's called Central Integrated Test, and it's got sensors all over the aircraft. You can load hexadecimal codes in it, and the guys in the back seats, that's one of the things we operate. It comes out of the space shuttle, actually, that system
wow.
does. There's a lot of common parts with the space shuttle because Rockwell was the original of the aircraft, and the system. So you've got these sensors, speed sensors, all over the aircraft, and you can actually watch the aircraft go supersonic as it goes through the shock wave because it's so big. So different parts of the airplane go supersonic at different points as you transition through the sound barrier. It's pretty incredible if you're a geek and you like flying fast and killing America's enemies with a very effective weapon.
What is yeah, I love that. You're so nonchalant about it. I love that. But what's it like inside the aircraft? Is it I mean, it's gotta do you experience anything, or is it just like, "Oh, I think we just broke the sound barrier?"
It's
I'm just
actually
curious.
pretty going through the sound barrier these
Yeah.
days, and that aircraft is pretty anticlimactic. I mean,
Oh,
you
it's
know that you've sped up. If you've been cruising around and you decide, "Hey, we're high enough, and we've got the right conditions, we're gonna go supersonic," and you sweep the wings on that aircraft, it's got sweeping wings on it, and you push the power up from a regular cruise speed, you know you're going fast, but
yeah.
actually moving through the barrier, first time is pretty nonchalant and anticlimactic. It's the slowing down part that really gets your attention because you get thrown forward in the straps, and it's a very, very evident that you've been going really fast, and now you've got this big monster that's slowing down and throwing you forward.
Oh my gosh, that sounds insane.
At least that was
So
my experience there.
you started as a I mean in a very unconventional way. I think most people that get to the ranks that you achieved as colonel um don't probably start as enlisted. I
Mhm,
know my nephew, for example, my brother-in-law, I think they started as second lieutenant or something
mhm.
because they had their degree or what. I don't know what I'm sure you know what that the rules are for that, but yeah. So talk about that. You went in as an enlisted
Yeah.
soldier
Mhm.
in the Air Force, not as an officer.
Yeah, we call them airmen in the Air Force, but I
Airman.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's an interesting story, that gets back to the whole question, well, what can I do about it? And I wanted to fly fast airplanes. I actually wanted to
Wow.
be a Thunderbird pilot, and,
Wow.
my dad was in the Air Force, so I'd known all this time that I wanted to be in. So I actually enlisted 3 days after I turned 17, in 19 November 1978, November 18th, 1978.
Wow.
Uh, so I started young, which means I got to the other end at 32 and a half years. I was still fairly young, and everything. But the enlisted uh, ranks was where my dad was from, and we really didn't have money to go to college. I didn't qualify for any scholarships. I'm just a B average student, man. I'm never going to be brilliant, although I have some great degrees from some great schools. They let me sneak into Harvard and the Navy War College and that kind of stuff. And I was able to
Sneak.
to
Nobody
claw my way
sneaks into
through it.
Harvard. Come
I
on.
was able to claw my way through it and pass enough to get a degree, in both those institutions. But, my high school counselor, I'll just tell you the story real quick. My high school counselor, told me that I wasn't college material. Uh, when I went to her and I said, "Hey, I want to compete for an ROTC scholarship, or go to the Air Force Academy," and I had no idea. My mom and dad were high school dropouts, so I had no idea and wasn't raised with all the information you have to know, all the prep it takes to get an appointment to the Air Force Academy or be ready to go to college and those kind of things. So I just kind of wandered my way through high school and took what I wanted to. I made some A's and B's. I think I got one C, but I was okay. I was average, slightly above
Yeah.
average and everything. But she looked at me and she said, "You're not qualified." I said, "I said what?" She goes, "Yeah, you'd probably be better off going to go to a gas station, learn how to be a mechanic or something
Oh,
like that." And well,
wow.
that drove that question. I'll take you back to the title of my book that's about to come out here, hopefully in a month or so. We're waiting on the Pentagon to review it because they have to review the manuscript due to my
They
security
do. They have
clearance.
to review it.
Yeah, due to my security clearance, and there's stories from my military service in it. We had to run it
Ah,
through and
wow.
everything. But
Wow.
it's titled "What You Can Do About It." But she drove me to ask that question again. Well, what can I do about it? Well, so what I did about it was I enlisted in the Air Force 3 days after I turned 17. I had to get my mother's permission to do it, and I set a goal to first get an associate's degree, which turned out to be an associate's degree in mathematics, and I was awarded that degree at the same time that I was awarded a Bachelor's of Science degree, both from the University of Tampa in Management Information Systems, which was one of the first MIS programs in the country. You learn computer systems analysis, design,
Mhm.
programming, old school programming like COBOL and Fortran and machine language, and that kind of stuff. And somehow I was able to even graduate with some mild honors from that. So I proved her wrong within a few years.
I love that.
And I had to get
Love
that
that.
to become an officer to achieve the goal of wanting to fly fast airplanes, and that was the whole reason why I enlisted. But along the way, I got the opportunity to do a job that I get emotional when I think about it because it's still the best job I've ever had, and
Wow.
it's called explosive ordnance disposal. And being 17, they signed me up in a job. You know how you can get a guaranteed job when you sign up in the Air Force? I was going to be a
Yeah.
missile maintenance technician in Minot, North Dakota. Think about that.
What?
That's what
And
my
that's what you wanted as your guaranteed
well,
job?
no, that's
Oh.
what they offered me. The
Oh,
best of what
okay.
they offered me like 5 jobs, and this
Oh
job,
my
EOD,
god.
you couldn't enlist as that at the time. And in basic training boot camp, if you can call it that in the Air Force in those days, we called it 6 weeks of shake and bake airman making because it was so weak. Uh, and about a week into it, they take everybody into a room and show you a couple of films. One is pararescue, and the other one is explosive ordnance disposal. And in pararescue, you have to be a really strong swimmer. I was like slightly below average as a swimmer, even though I liked doing it. I was not a very strong swimmer
Right.
at the time. So I was like, missile maintenance technician in North Dakota or bomb squad. And I said,
Yeah.
I'm 17 years old. I think the bomb squad would be a hoot, you
Oh
know?
my god.
And so off I went to the Navy's EOD school, the Army's U.S. Army Chemical School, and was led by a Marine Corps prior enlisted lieutenant who had been an artillery NCO in Vietnam, and his sergeant, Lieutenant Benjamin O'Bell, and Sergeant Garcia. They were our class leaders. So
They were
little Air Force
Marines?
guy, they were Marines. So little Air Force
Look,
Rob Maness.
look, we
Um,
got Buckster in here talking Marine crap. Yeah.
I love Buckster. You
So do
had any crayons this morning, brother? Uh, so so people think I'm a Marine sometimes, and I don't know why. I think it's because of the way I talk and present myself. Because their impact on 17-year-old Rob Maness, who they had me for a year after Air Force
Holy
basic
crap.
training, uh, uh, must have made an impact on the way I behave, talk, present myself, and those kind of things. So,
Wow.
but EOD school was still it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I just fell into it and volunteered,
Wow.
and I still, if you look at my X bio, you see that it's there because
Wow.
and some of my old bosses are still alive in spite of the hard partying that they did, and
What let me ask you
and I stay in touch with them with a lot of them.
wow.
So I mean, it's amazing because I left
I
that job in 1985. I think.
I'm curious why, and I'm not trying to evoke emotion. I promise I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm just curious what it was about that job that evoked that emotion when you started talking about it. What was it that was so special to you, or is that private? I don't- is
No,
there?
it's not. I'll talk you through my first response in EOD. It was I was stationed permanently at Myrtle Beach Air Force Base in South Carolina. I was 18 by the time I graduated from school and got my badge. We call it the crab. It looks like a crab. And the school was in Charles County, Maryland, Indian Head, Maryland. So it's nicknamed the Charles County Crab, the one I wear. They moved the school down to Eglin because the people that graduate nowadays, they just couldn't handle the tough weather up in Maryland, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. But anyway, uh,
Tough.
friendly rivalry, folks. I love you guys and gals. But anyway, my first response, I got mission ready about 3 months, 2 months after I got there. I'm on call my first weekend. And the very first response is, "Hey, we've got a Jolly Green helicopter waiting for you on the ramp. You need to go down, and there's a sea mine that's been washed up on the shore, and we've been assigned responsibility to go safe it, get it transported, and all that."
Wow.
Well, here's the kicker: Air Force kids, men and women. There were the first women in the field were in my class. We were not taught. Air Force kids were not taught anything but what we would call a shake and bake version of Navy ordnance. And the common theme from the Navy instructors was, "Don't worry, you're never going to see this stuff. It's all out in the water." And the very
Oh,
first call that 18-year-old Rob Maness gets on his own is to go hop on this Jolly Green, fly down the beach to just north of Charleston, South Carolina, and safe the sea mine, and,
oh my
and get
god.
it transported. Think about that. As an
Oh my god.
individual responsibility at 18 years old, there is no other
Wow.
field in the United States Air Force, in peacetime especially. where you are entrusted with things like that. And the men and women that essentially raised me, my second daddies. That I didn't have any women supervisors in that field, but my second fathers, uh, Jim Pallas is one. My first senior NCO. He was from Asheville, North Carolina. He was the boss at Myrtle Beach, and Junior Ladd was my last boss, Senior Master Sergeant Junior Ladd, uh, out at in Tampa Air Force Base, Florida, and he's from Western North Carolina, the Smoky Mountain Appalachians and everything, and he might like fast cars that might be able to carry whiskey, illegal whiskey. I don't know,
Right.
but Junior, both those guys were fantastic as my surrogate dads in that field, and they bracketed my experience in the field in the Air Force. And all along the way, I met these men at every assignment. I had 3 assignments in EOD that were just phenomenal people, and they trusted this kid because I had demonstrated, my professionalism and my abilities in the field. When I almost failed out of EOD school.
Wow.
If it hadn't been for the Marines who sent me to a Marine warrant officer, this black guy named Gunner Way, had been in Vietnam and everything, that took me aside and worked with me for a full day, I would never have worn the EOD. You know,
Wow.
so I'm very grateful to that, and was honored to get the opportunity to serve in that field. If you go watch the movie The Hurt Locker, we were predicting that kind of war, like what you see in that movie was going to happen, and we were preparing folks for that when I left the field to go be an officer and learn to fly. That's
Wow.
fine.
So that's incredible. So
Incredible
somebody
people.
somebody whipped you into shape. Is what you're
Yeah.
saying.
Well, my dad was a master sergeant, so you can
Oh,
imagine. Uh,
jeez. Oh my God.
they
Holy
just
crap.
refined me to where now some people think I'm a Marine, and I have to tell them to go eat some crayons.
Yeah, yeah, like Buck. He said he's had some red ones today.
Yeah.
So I love Buck. He's freaking awesome. And by the way, Shell's watching, commenting as well. Shell, thank you for. I wouldn't even know you had it not been for Shell hosting your or hosting, producing. I don't know what she, but her official title is. But with your space every
Yeah.
day, and everybody needs to go listen and watch you on your show. And it's called the Colonel Rob Maness Show, right?
Yeah, just the Rob Maness Show. We don't use the rank
Oh,
in it,
oh,
but
okay.
when I ran for
Rob
U.S.
Maness.
Senate in 2013, 2014, we branded me as Colonel Rob Maness retired. So all my social media still says that. I don't think I would have done that had I just set it up on my own. But since the branding is there, we keep it that way. And of course, then the guys did that great intro video. So,
Well,
but
you got to see it from a civilian's point of view. I mean, like I said, one of my only regrets in life is I had the opportunity to go into the army with my best friend. We were going in on what they called the buddy system, and
Mm.
and I bailed at the last minute, and he went, and he was so pissed. I think he still hates me to this day. But it's one of my only regrets. But from a civilian standpoint, um, at least from my standpoint as a civilian, I think it's one of the most incredible. Like, I honor our military. Like, it's to me, it's one of the most important things you could ever do with your life, and so I respect the heck out of you and anybody that's done what you've done, especially climbing the ranks. The way that you did is I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but I would say it's probably fairly rare.
I think it is, yeah. Fairly rare. I don't know if I would have made general. I had to retire pretty quickly because my wife got diagnosed with breast cancer and we needed to get it taken care of. And I'd
Mm,
already served 32 years and I was coming up on my primary board. But very few make colonel and get to be commanders because that's a whole other screening system. Uh, Making colonel is a screening system, and then getting to be a wing commander is another screening system. Very few get the opportunity to do that. There's and for every general that's promoted, every person that makes general, they're told, hey, there's 10 more people just as qualified as you whose name didn't come out of that hopper, and
Wow.
win the lottery. So, it was an honor to get the chance to do that. I mean, things just keep happening. Just last week on the Air Force's birthday on September 18th, I was honored to get the opportunity to lay a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns as a
Oh,
retired person, and I was thinking about my dad when I was doing that because he would
mm,
have thought that was pretty awesome, pretty cool, But it was an honor to get to do that. That may be the last actually official, semi-military function I ever get to do, and it was the honor of my life to do that.
wow.
And it's a privilege to get the opportunity to serve with young Americans, both as a peer, as an enlisted kid,
Yeah.
and then get the opportunity to lead them, and then on top of that, the responsibility to lead them in combat is it's an overwhelming feeling and humbling. And look, we're all human beings. We make mistakes. I talk about a few of those in the book, especially on the military side, uh, and uh, and we should, so that we can learn from those. People can learn from them. But watching these young men and women uh, sacrifice for America and being responsible for helping keep them alive and getting them back home to their loved ones, those kind of things is just the greatest honor that I will ever have achieved. I don't think anything will ever top that.
That's incredible. I think about, the name of this show is Breakthrough Walls, and I started this 7 years ago because I was stuck, and I thought, I'll bet you if I interview enough celebrities and successful people, I'll figure my own crap out and 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 it worked. But I would love to hear your take on because I sent my wife your I think it was your well, not your most recent, 12, 13 days ago you did a show um right after the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And it was called The War Has Come to Us, I believe, was the title of that show. And she goes, "Do you have anything that doesn't have to do with war coming to us that you could send me?" I said, and she's watching, by the way. She's probably going to start cussing at me.
Uh,
But like I would love to hear your take on what you think is happening in our, not just our country, although it is really, I mean, Charlie Kirk, it's a whole nother topic, but what do you think is going on? What is, from a leadership colonel position, if you were to look at what's happening? Why is everything going so amiss?
well, for your wife, ma'am, my Monday shows are themed More War Monday, and we started doing that when I started doing the daily show because there was so much war going on. It was before President Trump got back in office that we started doing this thing daily, and I just wanted to get facts and truth out because there's so much propaganda about the various conflicts that are going on. A lot of it from our side, unfortunately, that muddies the waters. So that's why I do that. But the reason why that particular show was named that is I've been talking about it for some time, and so have a lot of my peers that are not in active service right now that have the experience and are watching and are making observations with open source intelligence information. Especially during the Biden years, there has been a mass infiltration of the United States of America by Chinese communists, over 100,000 by some estimates, and those are conservative that are here illegally. Over 70,000 just Afghanis that were unvetted refugees from Afghanistan. And if you don't think Afghanis that were wearing the uniforms of the good guys kill Americans, go back and see how many. But we lost a two-star general due to an
Yeah.
Afghani soldier that we had just trained. So if they're unvetted, I mean, just those two populations are communists and Islamists, have Islamists in them. And there's this thing called the Red Green Alliance. And I believe that Charlie's assassination, the assassination of President Trump, the attempts, both attempts, Those are all operations. They have all the earmarks of an operation, not necessarily of the shooter themselves, who have some earmarks of some training, everything, but well resourced, well planned, the surveillance required, the site assessment required, the assassination spot, where to shoot from, selecting that position. All of that is part of good planning, and then the resourcing of these people. 4 or 5 cell phones encrypted, those kind of things. The weapons. I mean, the kid at Butler Crooks, he had a laser rangefinder. That he's walking around. Uh, Getting ranges on as he's
Right.
walking around the facility. So these are not things that your average 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, even this guy down in Florida who is older, but he's a zealot. Even that guy, those are not the average things that you would be thinking about. I mean, just look at the Florida one. He had Kevlar vests hanging on the fence around his sniper position. He was looking through and shooting through, and those kind
Yeah.
of things. So all of those things have earmarks of good planning and resourcing, well beyond just the individuals that pulled the trigger. And I believe that there are some foreign influence that's aiding and abetting these types of operations, and it's likely some conglomeration of communist Chinese and Islamist resourcing and planning of some sort and training of some sort that identify these individuals early, uh, especially the smart kids like this last guy, Tyler Robinson, and build them up, get them convinced through all the indoctrination that's coming through, not just them, but that's being pushed into our systems by their programs.
Mm.
The communists are exemplary at doing that, and the Islamists are too. Just look at how many people they've gotten convinced that the people to support Hamas, which are worse than the German Nazis. They are
Yeah.
worse than the German Nazis, and tens of thousands of American kids are supporting them, and adults too. So the propaganda and indoctrination forces that doesn't just come about through social media as a natural thing. Those aren't
Right.
natural things.
No.
So anyway, I did that show because I believe that Charlie's death has some earmarks of an operation, and that there's likely some foreign influence over it, and that foreign influence is probably aided and embedded by the individuals that are already here in the country because of the open borders, especially, but may have been here all along.
Yes.
And that's why this happens, and that's what I mean. The war has come to us. Look, the National Counterterrorism Center director Joe Kent, who I know and I've interviewed on my show a couple of times, I think, when he was running for Congress. He
Yeah.
put out a statement just the other day saying that Al Qaeda is here inside the United States. They are planning a massive operation, essentially. And those of us on the outside, especially Sarah Adams, the targeter that you've heard about from the Benghazi event,
Yeah.
and you see her being interviewed by Sean Ryan and those kind of things. She has been on that and has been right all along. And we let things slide through the cracks, like the sergeant in New Orleans on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
was We let that lone wolf tag get put on there by law enforcement of some sort, and there's no way that has the earmarks of an operation too. The guy,
W-
the Green Beret Master Sergeant that killed himself in the Cybertruck at Trump Tower out in
Yeah.
Vegas,
Yeah.
all earmarks. We don't know enough about those events or what happened with those individuals and why they may have done those things or who they got involved with. We don't know. We don't know, and we should know. And that's why I did that show, is because we need absolute transparency to the maximum extent possible so that we can put confidence in ourselves back in our institutions, which have been just absolutely degraded over the last 10 years.
My wife is her comments on screen. I hope they root out these infiltrators. It's terrifying. I think, I look at this and I go, because the average, I see all these GI Joe wannabes on on social media, and Buck and I are really good friends. We've had many conversations about
Mhm.
this. Like, you take the average civilian, and you say, okay, here's an here's a take this AR out there and good luck. I mean, they're not going to know what to do, and they're not trained the way that you are, and other military personnel. But what can we do? And I saw your post. In fact, I shared it. That said, "Stay armed, America." I think, and you were sharing what you were just talking about. What can the average citizen do to I mean, yes, I understand, stay armed, go to the range, do all the things, but that's not the average US citizen.
Well, it needs to become once again the average U.S. citizen,
Yeah. Yeah.
kid. That's my point. My viewers know that Colonel retired Kurt Schlichter and I are friends, and we use that type of phrasing all along. And believe me, we don't want a shooting civil war. Nobody that's
No.
had to do this stuff in real life that I talk to wants anything like that. It's all the GI Joe wannabes on both sides that tend
Right.
to talk that way, and we're always trying to talk them down and go, "Hey, you don't want to go there." But here's what I do tell people: we, you are an American. If you're an adult, especially, you have a responsibility to your community, your family.
Yeah.
It's written in the Constitution, in the Second Amendment, by the way.
Yep.
Okay, a well-regulated militia. They're not talking about some organized uniform thing. They're talking about the people that picked up their rifles on April 19th, 1775, that we just celebrated 250 years ago. One of those people was like 88 years old. I want to be that man. I can't remember. I
Yeah.
can never remember his name off the top of my head. I don't know why. I think his first name is Samuel. But I aspire to be that man. And what does it take to do that? Well, my commonly used rifle is sitting in my safe right now with about 1,000 rounds of 5.56 ammunition in magazines, ready to go if I need it.
Wow.
And I've trained to do it. Yeah, I had military training, but you don't have to have military training. Get training, go out to the range regularly, and exercise your rights. But that's not the end of it. Go talk to your 5 closest neighbors and have a community plan to defend yourselves and your homes and your families. That's the minimum right there to be an American citizen and fulfill that responsibility that's described in the Second Amendment, in my opinion. And that's
Yeah.
all I can tell people to do at this point in our history, because they've made so many laws in so many states where you risk tripping up and becoming a criminal, and those kind of, or an insurrectionist by accident, if you go too much further than that. But those are the minimums of fulfilling your responsibilities as an American, and it applies to men and women. If you don't think women can be warriors, you got another thing coming. My best warriors in the B-1 cockpit, my 2 best warrior combat co-pilots were women. And they
Wow.
went on to be fantastic aircraft commanders and instructors and squadron commanders and all kinds of things after I
Wow.
left the Air Force. So, uh, so my point with all that is fulfill your responsibility. It's a right, yes, the Second Amendment is, but it's also a responsibility, and it's our responsibility to do that. You don't have to be untrained. You don't have to be uncoordinated with your neighbors. You should know your 5 closest neighbors, know what their views are, what their capabilities are, and have a plan as to who would do what in the event of an emergency. You never know. I live right here where Katrina hit pretty hard, and
Yeah.
ask those people that survived that. Go have a chat with somebody that's been through something like that, and you'll understand what I'm talking about.
My wife is a definitely a warrior. She does stuff. I'm like, how does she even do? I don't. Where does that come from? Like, I'm serious. I think anybody with a strong woman in their life knows what I'm talking about. Do you? This is going to sound like a crazy question, probably. I'm sitting here listening to this, and I get sent all these. I mean, I went down the QAnon hole for a while. All of the conspiracies, the documentaries, I've seen it all. And
Mm.
I'm friends with Dr. Jerome Corsi as well, and he's got some interesting theories. But you know, have you do you have hope for America? And I know that sounds crazy to say that, but do you feel like that there's a way out of this, that we can wrangle these people that are just freaking there's some lunatics, and I'm not going to say even on the left, there's just lunatics that have these very unbelievably obscure views of what's actually occurring in our country. I don't get it.
Of course, I have hope. I'm an American. Look,
Right.
when Davy Crockett made that speech on those courthouse steps that I was talking about,
Yeah, yeah.
where did he go? He went to Texas. All right. He didn't go there thinking he was going to die. He didn't go there thinking he was even going to get shot at. He didn't go there to be a hero of the Alamo. And the historical record is and the facts around it and all that. You can debate that all day long. But the bottom
Right.
line is he led a group of men from Tennessee go look at the walls of the Alamo. They're the largest list of names. Guess where it's at? Tennessee.
Yeah.
So he used his leadership and his experiences to convince many of his friends to go there because of the hope that freedom can come to anywhere based on what he had learned growing up in this country and as a frontiersman, and using that same question that my book is titled, "What Can I Do About It?" And that's what those kind of calls are all about. So absolutely, I have hope. It's being reported that 20 million Americans watched Charlie Kirk's memorial service on broadcast television, not live stream, but broadcast television. Think
Wow.
about that.
Wow.
That's a system that is adamantly opposed to Americans who believe like Davy Crockett and Rob
Yeah.
Maness and Ken Walls' wife believe, and probably hopefully everybody that's watching this, they are antithetical to us. They're antithetical to the whole idea, and still 20 million people watched it on there. Over 100 million live streams throughout the world were observed
I know.
of Charlie Kirk's memorial. Of course, I have hope. I have hope. I met Charlie Kirk when I think he was around 19. It wasn't too long after he started Turning Point USA. I was just entering the political arena as a U.S. Senate candidate against Bill Cassidy and Mary Landrieu in Louisiana, much to the chagrin of the establishment Republicans who still hate me so much. They hate me so much. They try to prevent me from getting leadership roles and those kind of things, even to this day.
Wow.
Okay, so but I still have hope because those Americans, and especially those young people in that filled that building in Arizona the other day, last night in Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, much to the angst of the Marxist folks up there with that governor and all those people. They're yelling and whining and screaming about it, but they filled it, and they're going to fill them all.
Yep.
Before yesterday, there were no chapters for Turning Point USA on any of the major colleges right here on the coast because I'm in touch with the regional director, and I asked him right away, told him, hey, I'll volunteer to help you build them and those kind of things. I just got told by someone that goes to school that we have a chapter meeting today
Wow.
of young people in one of those schools. So yes,
Wow.
of course I have hope. I have hope that my 5 children and their children will have gotten some of the characteristics that I got from my family that came from people like Davy Crockett and my ancestor William that fought in the Continental Army out of North Carolina, and all of those that have come before us. They passed this stuff down to us. It's what drove me to do what I did in the United States Armed Forces. Is what drove me into the political arena to try to stop establishment from politicians from running as one thing and governing like they're on the other side. It's what drives me today. This episode today of my show is 583. I got my YouTube channel back today for the Rob Maness Show. I haven't figured out how to relink it back. We've been broadcasting to my personal channel since they took it away from me at episode 162, and I'm at 563 or 583 today. And I got that back this morning. If you haven't heard, Google and YouTube have finally relented and admitted they were wrong for censoring us. And Charlie Kirk was the only American that would go into college campuses and talk to 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds in 2013, because they said, and they were telling, my folks were telling me this, the professionals in the political business, the campaign business, Rob, they won't vote for you. There's no reason to waste your time going and talking to these kids on college campuses. Charlie Kirk did this, and the 18 to 35-year-old demographic went for Donald Trump in this second historic election that's never happened this way before in our lifetimes. I know Garfield got reelected once, but he wasn't threatened and tried in court, almost put in prison for 94 years for life, and those kind of things like this man was. And
Two attempted assassinations.
Charlie Kirk's leadership, because he asked himself the same question at that book that I'm getting a release is, what can I do about it? And he figured it out. And that's why we wrote the book. The incident had not occurred, as a matter of fact, when we wrote this book, but we have changed the forward in the book and dedicated it to Charlie and his efforts in free speech, because but that's exactly what he was doing, was answering that question. We try to give people some tools in the book to do that. I didn't want to just write a biography that people would read and go, oh, that's an interesting person, and throw it away, put it on the shelf.
Yeah.
I wanted to give people some tools that I've learned to use and ideas that I've learned about from people like Charlie. Even though I'm 33 years older than him, I still learned a lot from him, and I'm very grateful that he did what he did. And that gives me hope that the United States will continue and that we will defeat these people, whether they're American citizens or not, that no longer will support and defend the Constitution of the United States, but want to burn it down. We will defeat these people, and we'll do it through free speech, in spite of them killing us one at a time.
Amen. Holy moly. Wow. I can't wait to rewatch that and put it out in some nice clips. That was unbelievable. You've spoken at AmFest, right?
Yes, sir. I got the opportunity to speak at AmFest last December.
Wow.
And I asked to do it because my PAC, GatorPAC, you can find it at GatorPAC.com. Give us a $5 a month donation, folks. This is what we did. We raised over $2.5 million. Our largest political donation for that presidential cycle was to two groups: Charlie's Turning Point USA and Cliff Maloney's Pennsylvania Chase. They're really one group. They were working together to ballot chase in the swing states. And as you know, Pennsylvania was the first state to be announced that Trump won in the swing states. And that within 5 minutes of that, it was pronounced he was going to be president of the United States again. And that was Charlie Kirk and Cliff Maloney and that whole team that did that. And I just wanted to say thank you. So I spent about 5 minutes doing it.
That's amazing. And that, I have it scrolling. Is that it? Is that how you spell it? GatorPAC.com?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay. So everybody, I'll definitely go over. I'll sign up, support you. And RobManess.com as well, correct?
RobManess.com is my website. You can find me.
So much on there, by the way.
And my Facebook fan page is at COL Rob Maness. It's got about 200,000 followers. It's been suppressed since October 1st, 2020. That page used to generate about $9,000 a month in revenue at its peak after only 4 months in operation. And Facebook has stolen the rest of it from us all this time. So if you can go there and subscribe to that, like it, follow it, all that stuff, I'd appreciate it. And on X, at Rob Maness, at Getter, at Rob Maness. I'm on Truth Social. The show broadcasts on the Truth Social Plus channel too. So you can find us there. And of course, we're on Rumble at WorldViewTube on their live stream. And our channel has the Rob Maness Show goes live there. And soon we will go back to the Rob Maness Show page on YouTube.
On YouTube.
It's there.
That's
you can find it now.
That's so awesome. Congratulations. And I knew it would come back eventually. The only video that YouTube has ever deleted from my show, one video, and that was Dr. Jerome Corsi.
I like Dr. Corsi. I've got to meet him a couple times. I have some of his books. I love the guy. He's a
He's
fantastic American. But you know what they did to us? They went back. They found a video they didn't like that was current, and they went back 3 years, Ken, and
yep.
found enough videos that they could put strikes against based on policies that were written after we did the videos. It's despicable. And if I had the money, I would sue Facebook, Google, and YouTube for millions of dollars. But it's almost impossible to do. So it's hard to get somebody to take that case up because they
I
owe us.
think
They
what
probably owe us $1 million at least.
I'm sure they do. I'll tell you. Here's what I think is going to happen. Trump's just getting started. I th- I
Yes, he
think
is.
I think in next year or so we're gonna see some things like whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But Colonel, I know your time is I think you're on a tight schedule, so I don't want to go over if you can't. But I do want to. I don't feel like I covered hardly anything with you too.
I
I
could
will
stay a
say
few more
this.
minutes with you if you want.
Okay, I want to offer this to you. I'll do it publicly. I'm an Amazon influencer, and I would love to invite you to do. We can. I'm one of the few people that can live stream directly to Amazon's
Oh,
customers.
mhm.
So when your book is released, I would love to invite you on to do an Amazon live with me, and I'll host it. And their only communist rules are you're not allowed to bring up outside external websites. That's
Okay.
which is understandable. It's they're
Yeah.
like, hey,
Yeah.
come over here and play and sell everybody else's stuff. No,
Yeah.
but
Well, I want to sell my book on Amazon too. So I
yeah,
mean, that's part of
yeah,
our that's part of
yeah,
our process and approach that the
yeah,
team that's working with me is doing. So it's all ready to go. We're
yeah.
just waiting on the final approval from the Pentagon, and
Wow.
that should be soon. It's not a very long book, and there wasn't that much information in it that I would think would be at risk. But I told them to just do their job. They said it'd
Wow.
probably be a minimum of a couple months. So we're coming up on a couple months here in about 2.
Can you like call anybody and go, hey,
I'll check in with them
like
after I hit their minimums.
that's awesome.
The
So
guys the guys and gals work at that office in the Pentagon have been great. So, I
have
mean,
they?
not everybody in the government these days is great, but I could tell right away that they were all business and doing a good job. So,
Yeah, I'm a publisher, and so I literally I wait on the Library of Congress to send me
mm.
the registration number all the time, and it's like, oh my gosh, they don't move fast. they they do not move fast. So what would be some parting words? And I'm going to give you full screen out of respect. I really would like you to, for the people who are watching and listening, they'll listen to this later when I upload it. Um, what words of hope do you have for people that are just barely hanging on to whatever? There's a lot of people struggling, not just emotionally, but financially and every other way. What would you say to those folks that are looking for some hope to continue pushing forward?
Well, thanks, Ken. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me on. Look, folks, we're Americans. We answer that question individually at that level. What can I do about it? So, as Americans, you have the hope that you have that ingrained in your DNA, that idea that you don't have to put up with being broke. You don't have to put up with government that takes your tax dollars and then does things against you. There are things you can do about it. And you know that. I just would encourage you to ask yourself that question every single day and follow Charlie Kirk's advice. One of the pieces of advice he always gave to college students that asked him for it is learn something new every single day because it helps us answer these questions. If I could do it as a 17-year-old and Mr. Kirk could do it as a teenager, uh, every American can do it. There are a lot of people whose giant shoulders we stand on, like Colonel Crockett that I mentioned in this show today, but there are tens of thousands of others, and they've all passed these ideas down to us through our parents and our ancestors. And It's up to us to take those ideas and run with it. And the great thing about America is that we can. We are able to do that because even today, we still have enough freedom to change things for the better, get our institutions back to being American first, correct our system of taxation so that the federal government and all governments at every level aren't too powerful because they are today. We can do it. The fight coming up after Mr. Trump leaves office, and especially even now, is in the state houses. That's where our culture is being attacked, restricted, and tyranny is rising and has been rising all along as we've had these national fights. Go find people to run for state house, run for city council, run for county commissioner. It's not only our obligation to have these fights willingly, but to have them with a smile on our face and know that even if it's an American citizen, if they're a Marxist or an Islamist, they're an enemy of the Constitution. It's on us to do it. Only 3% did it in the American Revolution. That's all it takes. I'm counting on you to join me and everybody else in this fight.
Wow. There you have it. And Shell's announcing your guest for today. John Thaler is the Colonel's guest today, and we're talking about freedom of speech. What time does your show start?
It starts at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central Time.
Okay. Everybody make sure that you are following the Colonel everywhere. Like so it is on your personal YouTube channel because I've seen it there.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
So it's
I haven't had time to link it back up to the show channel today yet, but I will figure that out in the
That's
ensuing days,
awesome.
and it'll go there too. And I will say that the 1 hour live stream television show we simulcast to our X audience. We actually turn the X space on about 30 minutes before, and I try to stay for 30 minutes after to talk in the X space if folks want to join us there and if they
And
can't watch the full show. And I take questions during the show from the space audience.
yeah. And that's where I got to know you is through your doing the space. So very grateful for that. I'm
Okay.
grateful for you coming on today. Thank you. And let's make some noise. Let's get everybody over to GatorPAC.com and to RobManess.com. Those are scrolling across the bottom of the screen. They will be in the show notes as well. So Colonel, thank you. If you would stay with me, I'm gonna close the show down, but if you'd stay with me for a minute and just to chat about the Amazon thing.
You bet.
I want to say thank you to everybody who's shared this out. If you have not shared this out yet, there is time to redeem yourself. Go ahead and click that share button and share this out to everybody you know on every social media platform, because even Zuckerberg was begging for his freedom when Trump won.
That's
And
right.
he eased up.
I wish he'd give me mine. He still hasn't given me mine back. At
Oh,
Colonel Rob
really?
Maness, at COL Rob Maness. Send him a note.
Oh,
Free my channel.
I might be able to help you with that. Let me see what I can do. But all right, so listen, everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you so much. Make sure you're following the Colonel on X and on Facebook, everywhere, and share this out. Thank you all so much. Colonel, thank you very much for being here, sir.
Thank you, Ken. God bless you.
You too. Thank you, sir.